You are standing 30 feet from an animal that could kill you in one motion. It weighs as much as a school bus. Its tusks are longer than your entire body. And the only thing in your hands is a wooden spear tipped with stone. This should be suicide, and yet for over 2 million years, this was simply Tuesday. Your ancestors did not just survive alongside animals 10, 20, even 40 times their body weight. They hunted them. Deliberately. Repeatedly. Successfully enough that entire populations depended on it to survive the winter. So how does a 5-foot-tall, soft-skinned primate with no claws, no fangs, and no natural armor bring down a woolly mammoth? The answer is not strength. It was never strength. Let's find out what it actually was. In 2004, biologists Dennis Bramble and Daniel Lieberman published a paper in the journal Nature that reframed what the human body is actually built for. Examining the skeleton from head to toe, they found dozens of adaptations that make almost no sense for walking, but make perfect sense for one very specific activity: running long distances in extreme heat. Your long Achilles tendon, storing and releasing energy like a spring. Your large gluteus maximus, barely used when walking but critical for stabilizing your body at a running stride. Your nuchal ligament, a structure at the base of the skull found in almost no other primate. That keeps your head stable while your body pounds forward for miles, and most importantly, your sweat glands. Millions of them. More than almost any other mammal on Earth. Here is what that means in practice. A pronghorn antelope can outrun you in a 100-yard sprint by a wide margin. But a pronghorn cannot sweat efficiently. It has to stop, again and again, to release heat through panting. Your ancestor did not have to stop. He could keep moving, hour after hour, in the punishing heat of midday, while the animal's body temperature climbed toward a lethal limit. This is called persistence hunting, and it has been documented, in living memory, among the sand people of the Kalahari Desert. Anthropologist Liebenberg spent decades studying and documenting these hunts directly. A hunter picks a single animal out of a herd. Not the fastest. Not the strongest. He tracks its footprints in the sand, reading depth, spacing, and freshness like a language. Then he simply starts running. Not sprinting. A steady, relentless jog, in the hottest part of the day, when the animal's ability to cool itself is at its weakest. Hours pass. The antelope bolts, gains distance, stops to recover. The hunter never stops long enough to lose the trail. He simply keeps coming. By hour 4 or 5, something changes. The animal's core temperature is critical. Its muscles are failing. It can no longer outrun a human walking pace. The hunt ends not with a burst of speed, but with an animal that simply collapses, overheated, while the hunter who chased it barely broke a real sweat by comparison. Your body was built to win a war of attrition that looks, on paper, like it should be unwinnable, but a mammoth does not overheat and collapse from a jog. Hunting something that size required an entirely different kind of preparation, one that started long before anyone picked up a spear. Archaeologist George Frison spent much of his career excavating Paleo-Indian kill sites across North America, and his findings reveal something remarkable about the planning involved. At sites like the Colby Mammoth Kill in Wyoming, the evidence shows hunters didn't simply stumble onto a mammoth and attack. They studied the land itself as a weapon. Picture the terrain. A narrow arroyo, a natural funnel of steep banks with only one way through. Your ancestors knew this land the way you know the route from your bed to your kitchen in the dark. They knew exactly where a panicked animal would run, because they had watched this herd, this valley, this season, for years. The hunt begins not with a chase, but with patience. A small group moves slowly, deliberately, pushing a mammoth away from open ground and toward the narrow passage. Shouting. Waving hide. Making noise from precise angles designed to guide, not just scare. Other hunters are already in position, hidden, spears ready, having walked this exact ambush point dozens of times before in preparation. This is not a fight. It is an engineered trap, built from generations of accumulated knowledge about one specific place and one specific animal, and here is where the story gets genuinely surprising. The spear itself was not the primary weapon. The primary weapon was the group. No single hunter brought down a mammoth alone. Coordinated hunting required a level of communication, trust, and shared risk that most other predators on Earth are simply incapable of. A lion pride works together, but the coordination is instinctual, built into their biology. Human coordination was different. It was planned, discussed, adjusted in real time based on what the animal was doing. One group drives. One group waits in ambush. One group, often including elders who could no longer run themselves, tracks weather and terrain to choose the day itself. Anthropologist Pat Shipman has argued that this cooperative complexity, this ability to hold a shared plan across dozens of people who each play a different role, may be one of the true evolutionary advantages that separated early humans from other large predators competing for the same prey. The spear was just the final step in a plan that had already succeeded before it was ever thrown. Now picture the actual moment. Dust rises where 100 feet have churned the dry earth. A mammoth, forced into the narrow passage, throws its head, tusks scraping stone. Hunters at the mouth of the passage do not move. They have rehearsed this. They know the exact distance at which a spear thrown with an otlotl, a hooked throwing tool that nearly doubles the force and range of a human arm, can penetrate deep enough to matter. Someone signals. Not a shout. A gesture, practiced, silent. The first spears fly together, not one at a time. This matters. A wounded, furious animal that turns on a single hunter is a death sentence. A wounded animal facing 8 points of attack from 8 different directions cannot decide who to charge. It is not the strength of any one throw that ends this. It is the impossibility of defending against all of them at once. The kill, when it finally comes, might take hours. Hunters retreat and re-engage. Wait. Track blood in the dust. This is not the fast, clean ending of a movie. It is a slow, exhausting, dangerous process that depended entirely on nobody breaking formation, nobody panicking, nobody deciding their own safety mattered more than the plan, and the moment the animal falls, the real work has barely started. A single mammoth could feed dozens of people for weeks, but only if the meat, hide, sinew, and bone were processed immediately, communally, before spoilage or scavengers claimed what the hunt had risked everything for. This is the twist that should change how you think about your ancestors. You have probably pictured cavemen as solitary, brutish, driven by instinct. The evidence says almost the exact opposite. Bringing down an animal 40 times your size required extraordinary patience, extraordinary trust, and an extraordinary willingness to subordinate your own glory to a shared plan that only worked if everyone played their part. Modern life rarely asks this of you. You are almost never required to trust 7 other people with your life, to hold a complex plan in your head for hours while adapting to a moving threat, to know that your survival depends entirely on people who are not you doing their job exactly right. Your ancestors did this routinely. Not as heroes. As a Tuesday, the tools have changed beyond recognition. The stone-tipped spear became the office memo, the group hunt became the project deadline, the ambush point became the strategy meeting. But the underlying architecture, the deep human capacity for coordinated, trusting, high-stakes teamwork toward a shared goal, is the exact same hardware your ancestors used to feed their entire community with a wooden stick and a plan. You are standing 30 feet from an animal that could kill you in one motion. And somehow, impossibly, you win. Not because you are strong. Because you were never alone.